Hey, what's up, my little tattletales? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if you were Aoiki Simmons, you are still going in with your dad. But actually, you actually have a message to all the incels in your comments. Make it getting on your last GD nerve. Y'all, let's get into this because you can't make this up. The drama between Kimora Lee, Aoki Lee, and Russell Simmons is still going on. I don't know if Russell didn't just apologize. I don't know what's going on. I do know that baby was hurt. It does sound like her dad was taking his feelings out on her mother, on her. I don't care who wants to hear it. It is very common for men, right, to take their feelings out for the mother on the child. I can only speak for my community. I've seen it happen in other communities. It is wrong no matter what. We're also going to talk about exactly why he's mad at Kimora, because there's a lot of things going on, but I actually looked up the court papers, and baby, he's quite wrong about Kimora, but regardless, he shouldn't be taking us out on his baby. Y'all, let's get in. Okay, it says Aoki Lee Simmons is speaking out once again amidst her family's ongoing drama. After previously showing her support for her mother, who accused her father, Russell Simmons, of threatening their lives, the Harvard graduate shared a message on her Instagram story Wednesday, standing by her comments about his behavior. She said, "Until a short time ago, this is the man who told me, always defend and look after your mother, girls, and never let a man curse at you. You call daddy if a man ever tries to yell at you or scare you. That's never okay. Real men don't shout at women or girls." She went on to say, "So to all the toxic men in my comments using defending him to be foul and talk about all the grievances you have with women, you can save it. It's pathetic." He would agree. I know that's for sure. She then shared the quote again that said, "Always defend your mother and sister. Don't let any man talk crazy." Then she said, "Just following instructions here, people." She ended her sentiments by addressing comments from her social media followers that have stemmed from the family's drama. She She said, "I wonder how your mothers, sisters, daughters, nieces, girlfriends, wives will feel after seeing some of the sexist, racist, honestly foul comments and messages some of you men are leaving me." Exclaiming that she has seen misogynistic stereotypes and names and absolute hate for women in her inbox, she said, "I only see one bitter mess in my DM between a 40-year-old male stranger yelling at me about all the bitter Black women I represent, and it's not the 20-year-old on the receiving end." Now, let me just say this, right? Let me just say this. She said that her dad is narcissistic and gaslighting. I do think it's possible that someone is very abusive is also saying to you, don't let another man treat you that way. Because for some reason, men have a dissonance that they think they can treat the mother like trash and the daughters won't internalize it. It's very common for abusive people to try to teach their daughters, don't ever take that from a man. But the only real representation they have of what a man is you. That whole do as I say, not as I do, but that never works in real life. I do find it, and I do hear everybody talking about it's very hypocritical, because when Russell Simmons' accusers and the family of those accusers, of the women, the girls, like whatever, were coming at the Simmons girls for, how are you defending this monster? She was the main one going all in protecting her daddy. Now, I will say she is young. She probably didn't want to see the truth. We can't really blame her with that. She was following her mama's lead. And Kimora Simmons, for all the mess that she talks about Russell Simmons, she was one of his main defenders. Speaking of, here's the reason why Russell is so mad at Kimora. Now listen, Russell Simmons, when he found out, and let's preface this by saying, Russell met Kimora and started dating her when she was 15, a sophomore in high school. He literally groomed that girl, and he was 35 years old. So listen, if you don't believe in grooming, if you think a 15-year-old has enough sense as a grown woman, that's on you, baby. I don't believe that over here. I really feel like you are taking advantage of a child. Okay, so when Russell was caught in the Me Too, and he had numerous people accusing him of SA, wanting to sue him, all this other stuff, he fled the valley. Now, even though he fled for valley, he could have been convicted in absentia. In absentia means we don't need your physical body here. We can just look at the evidence, and if a judge thinks that the evidence is strong enough, we can convict you right then and there. Done, right? Okay. Russell there, people are saying, had stocks in Celsius. It is a very popular drink. Nobody knew it was going to be very popular back then, but it was doing okay. Russell then transferred all his Celsius stock to Kimora Lee. They were divorced at that time because he was trying to hide assets. Now, in order for a stock transfer to be legal, okay, you just can't, oh, here's my stock. Because the courts will be, let me get this straight. You were looking at litigation. You gave your ex-wife these stocks that were worth something for nothing. Me thinks you're trying to hide assets. So what happened with that? There had to be some sort of monetary exchange. Again, to have a binding contract, there needs to be offer, there needs to be acceptance, but there also needs to be consideration. Consideration is something of value that both people receive that they are happy with. It can be anything and a bunch of stuff, but in this case, Russell actually, so Kimora basically just seemed like she took the stock and gave Russell a certain money amount, even though they had an agreement on the side that, like, you know, you hold on to my stuff. Russell sued her. A federal judge actually ruled on the case and said that Russell was harassing her and that he did not own those Celsius stocks, right? Because he had previously sold. Now, Russell is appealing it because I think he's just going to prove, like, well, no, that wasn't a deal. She was just supposed to hold it, and then I was supposed to have it. Kimora Lee in her petition said, listen, we did use all the Celsius stocks as collateral and bond so that her other husband, I can't even call him a husband because she wasn't married to him, because he was a double polygamist. He was married to 2 women before, at the same time that he got married with Kimora Lee. So Kimora Lee's marriage is not even legally binding. So with her fake husband, she had to put, Kimora sure can pick him. She had to literally put, they had to put that bond down so he could get out on bail. Kimora put in that saying, first of all, I didn't sell those. This lawsuit is null and void because I didn't even sell the stocks in question. The government is holding them. And the only reason the government would get rid of them is if he violates his bail, bond, whatever. And then after that, if he violates it, then the government can sell it. But right now, the government doesn't own those stocks. I didn't sell. It's just being held. Russell came back also in his appeal and said, no. I see what you're doing. Because he was accused of financial crimes. If you don't know, Kimora's maybe husband robbed the Malaysian sovereign real estate investment fund, him and another person, Ing. I think Ing got sentenced to 10 years in jail. It was some really bad stuff, right? I find, you know what, I'm going to keep my snarky comments to myself. Anyway, let's get back into this, if you can follow. So that's where we're at. So Russell added, in his appeal, added on a new layer and said, no. You say the federal government's holding it as bond money. We both know that it might be used in forfeiture. Forfeiture is when the federal government says to you, okay, it's like restitution. Basically, okay, so you stole this much, blah, 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 blah. You have to forfeit this much of your assets to pay the victims. So basically, any extra cash you have going around has to go to making the victims right. In this case, it was the actual sovereign nation of Malaysia. Okay, all right. Are we with this? All right. So what happened in between then? Kimora is now suing the federal government, because the federal government says they are going to take all $93 million in Celsius stock, $44 million, which Russell still claims belongs to him. We'll see what happens in appeal. And they're going to take it to pay Lee's victims. And Kimora is now suing them, saying, that's impossible. I bought all of those stocks with the money I made from modeling and baby fat. Lee did not, my fake husband did not pay any money into this. I'm the one that used all my money for modeling and baby fat to invest in Celsius. And she also hit back with Russell. And as a matter of fact, Russell, even though you were a part of a company that bought some of the Celsius shares, you never invested in the company. So even through this partnership, everything that was bought with the company actually is mine, since she's contending that my money is the only money that was meant to buy anything. So when it comes to Russell saying she stole my money, did she really? Or were you just trying to avoid paying forfeiture to your victims? And instead, Kimora outsmarted you and put that money for her husband, so that money could go to paying forfeiture for his victims. Again, Kimora had no idea that the rug was going to be pulled out from under her with her husband. Neither did Russell. They were all thick as thieves. And I find it funny, right, that not until the money ran out did this become an issue. Again, I believe that Russell Simmons is a narcissist. I believe he is was abusive, harasser, all that stuff with Kimora. I believe what the girls are saying. That girl's voice had too much pain. But I hope this lets you know a little bit more about the lawsuit and what's going on. It's going to be decided in court. Kimora Lee is fighting for that $93 million. I don't blame her. I would fight for it too. And Russell Simmons is fighting for half of that. Y'all listen, I'm going to keep an eye on this case. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'll talk to you later. Bye.